guys, how's it going? It's me, not your average fox. We're back and I've got an interesting video for you about scams, and also check out that link down in the left corner, by the way, if you want to support an amazing author and just brilliant person overall. And overall, let's just, protect our free speech and make America great again. So without further ado, let's move on to scams. So, it's the early 2000s. You're sat in your bedroom playing around on your parents' beige box PC. The internet's slow, the mouse has a ball in it, and you're probably supposed to be doing homework. Then suddenly, a flashing pop-up appears. Congratulations, you've won a brand new iPad. Click here to claim your prize. And hey, you don't know any better, you just assume you just got lucky. So you click on it. Instead of a prize, you're dumped onto a dodgy website. Your browser freezes, toolbars start installing themselves. Your PC now has 17 new home pages and runs slower than dial-up. Congrats, or maybe not congrats, because you didn't win anything. You just ran into a scam. Scams have been around for centuries, but the internet turned them into a global industry worth billions. So today, I'm going to break down what scams actually are, how they evolved from obvious email nonsense to fully convincing professional looking operations, what to look out for, how to avoid getting scammed, and finally, where to report scams when you come across them. So, because scams don't just target the clueless or the elderly, they target everyone. Before the internet, scams were way more personal. Back in the day, you had fake miracle cures, snake oil salesmen, bogus investments, and someone yelling, "Trust me bro," in a top hat. If you got scammed, at least the guy had to look at you in the eye while doing it. But then, the internet came around, and with it came something called email. And email was essentially like sending a letter to somebody, but digital. And with that came, of course, the Nigerian prince scam, because scams have gotten so much more intricate and more, in general, more like professional looking. It's harder nowadays to tell what's a scam and what's not. Look out for things like stolen branding, fake customer support numbers, deep fake voices, or hacked accounts of people you know. Especially in my case, asking for an email and a code and all this lot. Don't give them it, because I made that mistake. I had my Facebook hacked. It was not nice, and and you won't believe what the location said of the login. It said the location login was from Nigeria. I mean, I'm not making that up. The next part is, of course, red flags. For example, urgency. So you might get an email that'll say something like, your account will be closed in the next 24, 48 hours, and it might, spark some urgency in your head. You might think I have to, do this so my account doesn't get closed, you know what I mean? But the problem is that's what they want you to do. They want you to click on the link straight away. They want you to feel that urgency and think to yourself I have to do this or else. And another thing to look for is too good to be true. This one's so important, guys. If you ever see somebody claiming they'll give you free money or prizes or guaranteed returns or just anything like that in general, don't trust them. Just don't. If somebody comes up to you and says, "Hey, I'm gonna give you $1 billion, all I need is your bank details to transfer it. Don't give them your bank details, guys. The reason why they'll ask for your bank details because they know that as soon as you give them those details, they can do whatever the hell they want with your bank. Like they can ransack Best Buy or something and buy for the Pokemon cards using your money. Weird links as well. Gotta be so careful with links these days, especially if links to some secure login totally legit.ru or something. Just don't click on it. Do not click on any suspicious looking links. If any links look like they're sent from an imposter in Among Us, just don't click on it. And also request for info. You see, no real company needs to request for your information. One thing they will not do is ask for your password, your card details, your login code, anything of the such. So if you get an email or message from someone claiming to be from said company asking for such details, don't give it to them, because the thing is, those companies will likely just have your details on some database on their systems, so they won't need to ask for that information. And another thing to mention, how to not get scammed. All you have to do is slow down. I know that might sound, strange, saying slow down, take a breather. You see, the scammers these days, they rely on panic. They want you to panic, so then they can make it so that you're not thinking clearly and you just kind of act on instincts. It's for example, think about, our fight or flight response, right? Say for example, you get into a fight and you have two responses, right? Fight or flight. And that's basically what scammers rely on. And also, before clicking anything, it's very important that you always use two-factor authentication. And also go directly to the official website. Very important. Because especially if, say, somebody sends you a message saying they're from a big tech company and that your account is going to be closed if you don't do this, just go to the official website of that tech company, log in, and if you don't see a notice, then you know it's a scam. And also, if something feels off, it probably is. I mean, it's so simple. Something feels off, it's probably a scam. As for where to report scams, well, if you're in the US, you can report scams in the Federal Trade Commission. If you're in the UK, you can report them to Action Fraud. And Canada, you can report to Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre. Australia, they have a scam watch. And of course, always report, scam emails, so there's phishing, fake texts to your courier, fake accounts on social platforms, and basically just make scammers' lives harder. So I just wanted to address another interesting thing, and that is, why do scams seem to come from India? So it's kind of a big thing, as we all know. When people associate scams, they associate them with Indians, right? We've all seen it before, that Indian tech support scammers saying they're from Microsoft tech support and their name's Billy Bob or something stupid, and you have a virus on your computer and stuff. But why is it always India though? One of the biggest factors for this perfect storm is that there is a huge English-speaking population in India, and also there's very low operating costs and massive call center infrastructure. There's also, weak enforcement against cyber crimes in certain regions. and outsourced customer support becoming normal worldwide. So because of all of these factors, this has created an issue where a lot of these Indians in particular have decided to start up a call center and basically call up random people claim to be from Microsoft or whatever company, and scam elderly people, young people, doesn't matter who it is in the world that they call. If they can scam them, they will scam them. There is also this massive stereotyping problem with Indian scammers. You see, just like a lot of the time with any fandom, for example, you get the furry fandom, the My Little Pony fandom, but what do these fandoms have in common with Indian scammers? Well, one bad actor. Yeah, it's always that one bad actor. So oftentimes someone will hear of, like, say, a furry who turned out to be a predator and then assume, oh, every furry must be a predator. Or, for example, someone might get outed for doing some degenerate stuff to ponies and then assume that every pony is just the same thing. But that couldn't be further from the truth. And the same thing goes with Indian scammers. Now, well, there are a lot of scammers in India. There are also a lot of Indians that in general just want to get on with their lives. A lot of people, honest workers who are living in India as doctors, engineers, teachers, shop workers, just normal people trying to live their lives. The whole notion, sort of stereotype that every Indian is a scammer, it's like saying, for example, every furry is a predator or every Muslim is a terrorist. It's not true. There are some nice Muslims out there. There are some nice, furries out there. There are some nice people in general out there, hard-working people that don't want to be associated with these scumbags. What people just don't realize is a lot of scam operations traffic victims from Europe and North America, money laundering through China, Russia or the Middle East using fake addresses in the UK and the US. It's global. Scams are everywhere. It's also worth mentioning that many Indians are actually actively fighting these scam operations. For example, you have journalists, whistleblowers, ethical hackers and local police units who are risking their safety to basically just shut these places down, shut these operations down. How about however scams that aren't illegal? So yes, technically there are legal scams. Now these scams kind of come in the form of, for example, sponsored videos, influencer brands, startup launches or revolutionary crypto projects. Now this is basically sort of the more like grey area, so while these scams aren't illegal per se, they are still very shady in their own rights. These are ones built more on misleading claims. Basically claims like, for example, let's think some food or drink brands. You might get some brands, that sell food and drink or supplements and all that stuff, and claim that their product is healthy, better for you, clean ingredients and scientifically backed. But when you actually look at it, it usually tends to have high sugar content, high calories, additives, or just in general portion sizes. Well, this sort of business model is not illegal. It is, however, misleading. When you buy something that's meant to be a health product, you expect it to actually be a health product. Other scams, for example, might include things like, crypto. Now, overhyped crypto games, NFT platforms, Web3 ecosystems, or influencer-backed tokens. And they'll often promise, revolutionary tech, guaranteed growth, the future of finance, or community-driven value. So, overall, the pattern to look for is whether it's tech, food, crypto, the warning signs are always the same. Heavy marketing and light details, buzzwords instead of actual explanations, influencers instead of transparency, we'll fix it later roadmaps especially, and criticism dismissed as haters. Scams, however, rely more on hype, trust in a personality and fake promises instead of just clear facts, evidence and accountability. So you're not buying a product, you're buying hope with a logo slapped on it. Another one you might have seen as well is supplements claiming to boost muscle growth by 200%. Scientifically proven gains contain super protein. This is what pro bodybuilders use. And it's always it'll show you a shredded guy in perfect lighting claiming this powder changed his life. One thing they'll never mention to you is about genetics, steroids, years of training, or just the fact he was already built like a fridge in the first place. And oftentimes, there's no mention of, for example, super protein, hyper anabolic compound, or NASA grade muscle fuel. It's literally just protein. A lot of these products are just the same as the cheaper stuff you can get in the store that literally give you the same things that you need to build muscle anyway. So when an influencer says, "This is the only supplement I use," what they actually mean is, "This is the supplement I'm paid to show you." Other than that, red flags to look out for. Abs instead of evidence, big percentage claims with no studies linked, proprietary blend, influencers instead of nutritionists, comments disabled, or criticism deleted. The problem is when these influencers and these companies claim that this protein powder is the only protein powder you need, or the best protein powder and contains super mega ultra protein or something. Another one. And this one is, believe it or not, the crown jewel of fitness scams. The Ab Blaster. That pad that you slap on your stomach, it sends electrical signals into your abs. The ads always claim that you don't have to do anything, you can literally just be a lazy ass, stick this pad on, send electrical signals into your abs, and boom, you get a six-pack. The marketing will claim that you don't need gym, diet, effort, or time. So what really happens with these things is they're called EMS. They're basically electrical muscle stimulation. Make your muscles contract, and it can help with muscle activation, and it's also actually used in physical therapy and rehab. What they don't do is they don't burn fat, they don't replace exercise or diet, they don't magically reveal your abs. Basically, they don't override basic biology, and that's a very important thing to know. You see, a lot of people want results without doing the work. Some people just don't want to go into a gym. Some people just don't want to diet. So overall, the main point of the Ab Blaster is they're not magic, and at the same time they're not exactly useless. The problem is that they often get marketed as a lazy solution, which is further from the truth. So these Ab Blasters are used in some instances. Just lying in bed being zapped with electricity in your abs will not give you a six-pack. So if you ever seen one of these and it promises all these magical stuff, just take it with a grain of salt and look into what these Ab Blasters actually do before considering one. And also, without further ado, thanks for watching the video. Again, like I say, don't forget to check out the Twitter link down below, because if you really want to support somebody that's trying to make a positive change in the world, then right here. And on top of that, stay alpha, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.